Hey Barflies, welcome back to another episode of Behind the Bar Liquor Reviews online liquor review show. Tonight we're doing a whole bunch of scotches that our sommelier Link has brought to us. And why don't you take over and tell us a little bit of stuff.
Alright, well what we're going to do here, we've got 2 blended scotches and 4 single malt scotches. And the main difference between the two is that a blended...
One is blended and one isn't?
Yeah, except it's a little more complex than that. So,
please explain.
With a blended scotch, you have 2 different components inside of this. There is scotch, single malt scotch whiskey that is blended with neutral grain spirits that have been aged. So in a bottle like this, probably this much of it is actually going to be scotch and the rest of it is going... I'm sorry.
Side.
All right. This much of it
there you go.
is going to be actual single malt scotch, and the rest is going to be neutral grain spirits, and then they color it with caramel color to make it look like this color.
They just color it?
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
That's lame.
That's how they do it.
The burned barrels that they age in don't attribute any of the flavor? Or
they do, but a lot of times when you're just working with neutral grain spirit, you're not necessarily working in a charred barrel, you're working in just plain oak or older oak barrels. So you're still aging the neutral grain spirits, but you're not having to spend the money to get all of that scotch, that premium scotch. So it's a more efficient way of making a bottle of scotch.
What do they color it with?
Caramel coloring. In fact, most single malts...
Have they been doing that for hundreds of years?
They've been doing it for a long, long time, yeah.
What kind of caramel coloring? Where do they derive the color from?
That I'm not really sure. I'm sure it's the same caramel color that they use for like Captain Morgan or anything like that. But what they do is they don't want to have... Well, think about it. If you have many different barrels that you're aging your scotch in, and you have the bottles lined up on a shelf and they're all different colors, that's going to turn off the customer.
Right.
So they want to make sure there's some consistency with the color.
All right, well, let's go on. What else do we have?
All right, so we got 2 different blended scotches. We've got a Johnny Walker Black Label, which is a 12-year blended scotch, and we have the Dimple Pinch, which is a 15-year blended scotch.
Which it's got a pinched looking bottle.
Exactly, it's kind of a fun bottle.
Yes.
This one retails for about $35.99. This one retails for about $37.99. So they're pretty affordable for the quality.
And I'm a Scotch guy. I like Scotch a lot, but it is expensive.
Yeah, it really is.
If you're gonna buy a bottle, I mean a really good bottle, you're looking at a premium amount of money.
So then we have 4 different single malts here. They're all Highland single malts, which obviously is from the top of the island of Scotland.
It's the high part. It's the Highlands.
It's the Highlands of Scotland.
Right.
Can there be only one?
Well, no, there's several here, obviously, stupid.
And the one thing that differentiates Highland scotches from Lowland or Aya or any of the other Orkney Island, anything like that.
Is it Aya or Isla?
It's Isla, or Aya, technically. They
when you said that,
yeah, the Scottish language is ridiculous.
It's spelled Isla.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird U's
They're
and
weird.
K's that are totally...
My family is from Scotland. I don't get it.
So, again, 4 different single malts, all Highland. This has been aged between 10 and... well, it's a blend of barrels between 6 and 13 years. So they...
But it's not a blend.
It's not a blended scotch. Exactly.
It's almost like when they're making, what is it, port? What is it?
Sherry, when they do the Solera thing.
Solera, yes.
So it's a similar idea, except they're just using different ages of barrels to kind of come up with the right blend.
Right.
So this is going to average out to about 9 years. So this would be a 9-year scotch. This is a 15-year single malt from Tomatin. This is a 19-year from Glenmorangie, and this is a 21-year aged scotch from Aberfeldy. So we got a nice variation of ages here. This one here, the Alanta, was actually Whiskey of the Year last year in Whiskey Advocate magazine.
I have a subscription of that.
Do you?
No.
No, I don't think you do.
Nobody does.
So this one will retail for about $37.99. This one would retail for about $59.99. This one would retail for about $175.99, and this one would retail about $185.99.
Now, if you remember, Big Daddy and I tried the Knock 12-year a few episodes back, and what did that one retail for? Because that was a suggestion.
That one was like $29 or $30, something like that. It was pretty inexpensive. It's a great bottle of scotch.
That was a very good bottle of scotch. It received high marks from Big Daddy.
I've noticed a lot of the time when you see the labeling has a lot to do with the price. And not just the label, but like the name behind the label has a lot to do with the price. Like, you know, Johnny Walker Black Label.
Big Daddy?
It's not a great scotch. It's okay. Better than the red.
So obviously I'm not pouring a ton of this because if I did, it would be very, very painful.
Yeah, it'd be very intoxicated too. Yeah, see, man, that's just okay. It's all right. All scotches have that Scotch flavor to them. And I don't know what they do to them to give them that flavor. They've all kind of got that thing, and that gives people that Scotch face.
It's a little bit of peatiness that you generally get from the Scotch, and a lot of that is how they dry the mash. And,
oh, the peat.
Yes, and in certain areas like the Aya, they only dry their mash with dried peat blocks, so you tend to get a lot of that real very heavy peat. In the Highlands, generally they use charcoal, so you get a little bit more smoke. But being that Johnny Walker Black is a blend of a number of different things, you get a little bit of that peatiness probably because they're using one of the Aya scotches in the blend.
Now, I mean, again, if you're not a Scotch drinker and you wanted to drink Scotch, you could get away with taking the Johnny Black label and having that first because it's not offensive.
It's smooth.
It's relatively smooth, and it's not that expensive. So you might decide you just don't like Scotch. That's a good way to start, I think.
So I think we should just quick review as we go along so we don't get confused as to what they taste like. As far as
the pinch, the dimple pinch.
What would you give that Johnny Walker Black?
As Scotches go, I'd give it like a 3.
Really?
Yeah. No, it's not, but okay. Okay. I'm talking about the Scotches that I would drink. You talk about Dewar's White Label gets a negative number. That is the benchmark for me for bad Scotch.
Oh, wait, right here.
Dewar's White Label, you got some? Don't drink Dewar's White Label. That is Dewar's White Label. Oof. That is like cleaning solution.
You know, okay? We'll try this at the very end.
No, we will not. I won't. I've had it. I don't need it.
It's no good.
Johnny Walker Black Label, as far as scotches that I've had that I would actually, whatever it is. As far as scotches that I would drink, I would put it as like a 3. Okay, it's not terrible.
Yeah,
it's drinkable. If I'm at like a party where they're drinking scotch and and that's all they got, I'll drink it.
For a blended Scotch and for the price point, I would actually rather go with a knock because you're getting away with almost the same price point.
Sure. And a knock was a single malt versus that.
Right. This guy, I'm going to give it a 4.5. The tops. I mean, it's okay. It's nothing horrible. It's a good place to start, but for the price point, you could start with a knock and have a much nicer Scotch that at least when you have friends over, if you decide you don't like Scotch, you have a nice single malt to offer them.
I would agree. I completely agree with you. There are people that prefer blends over single malts just because they tend to be a little bit softer. They're not going to be, as peaty and as sharp as some of the single malt scotches. For somebody who's looking for that style of Scotch, that's a pretty good option. But I completely agree with you. If you're going to spend $35 on a Scotch, go with a knock. I give that a 4.
That's why I gave it a 3 because I know there are better ones than.
All right,
moving on to pinch. This is a 15-year blended.
Am I picking up vanilla?
Very different style of Scotch.
Totally different. This has a lot more going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's not offensive at all. It's good.
There's a nice spiciness to it too.
Yeah. And it doesn't have as much of the peat as the.
That's the thing about Scotch that I didn't understand because I mean all I had ever had of Scotch was like a Dewar's White Label. Once I started getting into Scotch, and this was one of the first ones that I had where I was like, wow, there's a lot going on there. It's not just offensive, hit me in the face, disgustingness. This is a good, not cheap.
No, but again, it's not, I mean, it's certainly not single malt price. I mean, you're getting a 15-year age whiskey for under $40-45, I mean.
But again, you're looking at, you could buy whiskey, American whiskey for way less than that.
Yeah.
For the same age.
I give that a 6, by the way.
I'd go up to a 5.
I'm gonna go right in the middle, 5.5.
Yeah.
I know that my
He
father.
just wants to be different.
I know that my father. This is where he started with his scotches back when he was young, and he was actually surprised to see a bottle of this floating around. So
it still holds up.
It still holds up.
It holds up. It has legs.
Yes, I would take this over the black label. I would definitely take this over the black.
Oh yeah,
I would agree.
But again, we're kind of working our way up to
the food chain.
The whiskey chain, the Scotch chain.
All right, moving up. Single malts. This is the 9-year Highland. They actually specifically use some peat to blend the mash.
Oh, the
dried
peat.
mash. So, not a ton of peat, but a little peat. Pretty good stuff. I actually really like this for the price.
I haven't had this one. I haven't had any of these.
I'm detecting a lot of caramel on that.
And again, now you're working in single malts, so you're going to have more barrel contact. You're going to have more barrel influence.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's night and day. You can smell the smoke in that. Taste the smoke.
Taste of smoke, yeah. That's definitely nice smokiness to it. It's rich.
That's a charred off.
And again, you're under $40 for this.
See, that's a great
Yeah.
example of what Scotch should be.
Yeah.
Very flavorful. A good amount of smoke. This, yes.
I like that.
Oh. There,
I think everybody should do the tasting that we're doing right now. Because I was against Scotch. I thought, who would ever want to drink this crap for the longest time? And it was actually him that got me into it with Pinch initially. I was like, wow, that's actually really good. That's got a lot going on. And now I'm a Scotch guy. That's one of my things. I will buy a bottle of Scotch where I won't buy certain other things.
The smokiness of this is amazing. I mean, being that I own a barbecue catering company and do smoking for hours and hours and hours at a time, that just, I don't know, that has something for me that
And there's other ones.
just
Lefroy is another one that is really smoky. You would appreciate that one too.
But you definitely get kind of that campfire-y type of taste. You get a little bit of that peatiness.
Amazing.
I think that's, I think, again, for the price, that's why I'm all about bang for the buck. I love being able to, I love being able to spend as little as possible to get as best quality as possible. So
I'm gonna go right out on this one, not having tasted the others, and I'm gonna give this an 8. A solid 8. This is good.
That is very good. I'm going to give it 7.
And I'm going to go right in the middle of 7.5.
Yeah.
I like that. Now, moving on, another Highland Scotch. This is a 15-year aged Highland Scotch. Now, one thing you're going to notice is this is going to be considerably lighter than the last one you just
I
tasted.
did notice that, just sitting there.
And Tomatin is another kind of bang for the buck Scotch. You can generally get the 12-year for in the neighborhood of $30 to $35.
This is 15
The 15-year is going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $40, $45.
See, I don't like that as much as the last one.
No,
There's not as much characteristic there, but it's good.
it's got the Scotch face for you.
Well, all Scotches have that effect, but
See, I really like that. It's a lot.
it's good. No, it's good. It's good.
It's good.
I would
It
prefer
doesn't have the smokiness as
the
last one.
hard, but I like that smokiness.
Yeah, I know you do.
That smokiness really sold that last one.
But you don't need it. I mean, again, I kind of look at everything. What food would this go with? And that would
With
go with
Scotch, a lot
certain
of times, which cigar would you want to smoke with this?
Sure, and I'm not a cigar guy. It's one of those things I just haven't gotten into. I'm not against it. I want to get into it, but I don't know a damn thing about cigars, so I'm not going to go out and just buy cigars and say, okay, this is going to be good. And it was the same with this for a long time. It's good flavor, very smooth. Not as much characteristic because it doesn't have that smokiness.
Right.
Yeah.
That smokiness really changes the whole thing with that other one. I would give this one a 6.
I'm going to be in the same place. I'm going to say 7.5. I really like this Scotch a lot.
I'm gonna give it a 6. I'll agree with Big Daddy.
Yeah. All right, moving along. Now we got the two big boys. So this Glenmorangie Alanta. This was Scotch of the Year last year, or Whiskey of the Year last year. As soon as it got named Whiskey of the Year, it sold out. It was impossible to find, and all of a sudden prices went crazy on the internet. So I saw some upwards of $800 for the bottle. Since then, they've actually got more in stock, and the prices have come back down. But
I'll take a case and load it in the trunk of my Lamborghini.
yeah, I know, right? So the cool thing about this, which is kind of unique.
The bonnet.
Most Scotches are aged, well, they use all sorts of different barrels for Scotch aging. They use sherry barrels, port barrels, bourbon barrels. Not for this one in particular, I'm saying in Scotch in general.
In general.
Some of them, actually Glenmorangie makes one where they use sauterne casks.
Really?
They do a lot of really cool stuff with Scotch aging. The master distiller at Glenmorangie said he wanted to try something fun, so he bought brand new oak barrels.
Bubblegum flavored.
That would be gross. He bought brand new oak barrels, charred them like he was going to make bourbon, and then just aged his scotch in brand new bourbon barrels.
Okay.
So
But
never
they're
been
charred.
They're charred, which bourbon has to be. So it's
I didn't know that.
yeah. So this is, it smells like a bourbon and drinks like a scotch, and it's absolutely phenomenal. This is one of the best whiskeys I've ever had, whether it's an American whiskey or a Scotch whiskey or.
Little, just a touch, because I
Yeah,
can
that
barely
didn't
see
even
it.
coat my
All right,
glass.
I'm sorry. I'm trying not to beat you guys up.
No. Oh, God
Because
forbid.
most of these are like 95 to 96 proof. This one,
I can smell the smoke.
This is 92 proof.
I'm not getting a ton of the smoke off the nose, but
It's not necessarily, you're not going to get any peat. It's going to
That's
be
so smooth.
yeah, it's going to be just
Oh my
pure
God.
like pure bourbon smoking.
That is unbelievably good. That is so good. Wow.
Like I said, that's by far one of the best whiskeys I've ever had.
I can see why he got Scotch of the Year.
wow.
Again, not cheap if you can find it. Glenmorangie Elanta, black label,
Just stealing.
19 years. I've seen it on a couple of the websites right now for in the neighborhood of 150 to 160 bucks.
That's really, really good.
Not a chance.
All right.
Shuffling this into my personal rotation.
What's going to happen later is the Dewar's is going to end up in my bag. And say,
Yeah.
I would be
Very
very
going to transfer the Dewar's into that bottle and vice versa.
Now, this is a tough act to follow. I'm just going to tell you right now, but
I can understand that.
what do you guys give this? I think that's a 10 all day long. Like I said, that's the best whiskey I've ever had in my life.
I would be hard pressed to think of a top. I would say 9.5. I mean, that's a 9.5 for me.
You know,
That's
I
saying something.
really hate to give it a higher score than the Ardmore. I really enjoyed
Well, right, but
this.
it's going to have a different,
They're two totally different beasts.
application.
Yep, they're two totally different beasts.
Both of
And-
them you could definitely drink just on its own.
Yep. I gave this one an 8, and I love it. I don't even want to give Mr. Link back his. But this guy, I'm going to have to go an 8.5.
Yeah.
It is better. I mean, not better, it's a totally
You
different
could,
beast.
it's a totally different
It
animal.
is amazing. They're both amazing. Pick both up.
Drink them
Forget your
both.
mortgage, forget your car payment,
Yeah.
whatever. Just pick them both up, drink them both. Enjoy
Well, that
them
was
both.
definitely more the price point of most
Totally
Americans.
different.
This one here, yeah, it's up
That's
there.
kind of a luxury.
It's up there. And I mean, honestly, I could sit there on a weekend and drink that whole bottle. I mean, I'm not kidding when I say that.
That's
I
an
could.
expensive weekend.
And it's
That
an
is.
expensive weekend?
All right, moving on. Again, this is a tough act to follow,
It
but
is.
we're gonna move into the last one. This is actually made by Dewar's. This is a distillery owned by Dewar's.
The name is on the label.
It certainly is.
Dewar's does have better stuff. That white label is just total garbage.
And this is, I really like this a lot. And again, for a 21-year Scotch, it's very reasonably priced. If $190 is reasonably priced, but in comparison, the Glenfiddich 21-year is $340, $350. The
Really?
Macallan 21-year is $400, $450. So to be able to get a
I have
single
a
malt,
room full of them.
to be able to get a single
You
malt
too?
21-year Scotch
I thought it was just
at under a couple of $100 is pretty nice.
See, when you got a nose on an alcohol that has that high of alcohol, and it's that smooth, that says something for that product.
Oh,
But you don't like the smell? I think it's good.
it almost reminds me of a public pool at the YMCA.
First of all, the YMCA is not a public pool. You have to pay to be a member there, or to use the pool.
You understand what I mean.
I don't smell turds floating.
It almost has a chemically
I know what you're saying.
chlorinated
Yeah.
smell to it on the nose. It's there. It's there.
And again, this was distilled 21 years ago, and it's been sitting in barrels for a long, long, long time.
So it's legal. This is the only legal alcohol we've actually had tonight. That's so smooth, though. I think that's the age. I think that's the 21 years.
There's
You also pick up a lot of that caramel characteristic in it.
there's a bit of a speed bump there for me though.
That nose.
No, once once it passed through, there was just like a quick hit of something that I didn't like.
That's called alcohol.
Is that what it is?
That might be what it is.
So yeah, I really like this. But again, coming off of that other one, which again,
it's not a fair.
It's not really a fair assessment.
Plus,
we were putting them in line of blended to aged.
their bottle cap has a squirrel on the top of it.
Is that a squirrel? It is a squirrel.
It is a squirrel.
It's good. It's definitely good, but I wouldn't pay that much for that.
No. I would take one of the other two over this.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
This guy, on our scale of 1 to 10,
Then if you're looking at a price point, I would take all of them over that.
I give it an 8.
I'm gonna go 7.
I'm gonna go 7. Because again, you got to look at it for what it is. It's 21 years. It's got good color to it.
Those can stay away.
No, the pitch is good.
Well, yeah, but
Grab the Alanta. Put that in the picture.
Oh, this has to be there. This
Yeah.
is the one. This okay. This one wins. I think that's pretty much consensus.
I'll tell you what though, if you're gonna say bang for the buck out of this lineup though, I think this one's a tie because
No, it's not even a tie.
For under $40, this is awesome.
If you're looking for flavor per price point, this is the winner.
This, I was gonna say that, this is definitely the one to go for.
Yeah.
This is exceptionally good. You will love yourself for buying this.
If you can find it and if you can afford it.
Yes, but this, I gotta say that's our winner. I don't think there can be any disagreement on that. That is an amazing flavor for an amazing price.
Yep. I think what you might want to do, because what I did is, I was almost against Scotch for the longest time, and I decided I'm just going to try it. The pinch is kind of what got me into it because there was more
Pinch is
going
good.
on there, and move up from there.
The pitch is definitely good, but the Ardmore is definitely the winner of this shootout.
Okay.
So it was a fun lineup.
It was.
Thanks for watching.
Super fun.
Thank you for bringing in Mr. Link.
You're very welcome. Scotchy, Scotch, Scotch.
Scotchy, Scotch, Scotch. And do not buy the Ron Burgundy Scotch. As much as you want to buy it just to have it in your collection, that's cool, but do not buy it to drink it.
No.
There actually Ron Burgundy.
Yes, there is.
It's
I'm
called,
looking at you, Reckless
Great
Eating.
Odin's Raven.
As funny as it is, I'm looking at you, Reckless Eating. You guys gave it a high score for some strange reason.
Well, if they're going to give it a high score, we got to taste it.
We do have to taste it next time.
I'll
Definitely.
I've seen it around here.
So, as always, thanks for watching. Give us a thumbs up. Leave a comment below what you think of any of these, if you've tried these scotches, or what you'd like to see us try in the future. Subscribe and share the video. And if you want to send us anything, send us a private message and we will definitely get back to you and let you know where to send that product to.
And if you want to send us a bottle of the Johnny Walker King George version, I've never had it. It's only about $700 a bottle. I'd love to try it. So
Yep, I imagine everyone's going to jump on that.
send it on this way.
We'll have a flood of those coming.
Send at
into
least
the-
4 of them so that we can all have a bottle.
Yes.
But don't send anything gross, because we don't. Well, we do taste some
We'll drink gross
I'm
stuff.
thinking food things though. Don't send like I saw canned slugs one time from Washington State, banana slugs they were called. I don't want that. I'm not gonna eat that. I'll keep the can as a memento, but don't send anything gross.
Ugh.
Seriously. Cut. The body hurts.
Oh, stop hitting me. Stop hitting me.